You're listening to an East Coast Guild podcast. Check us out at eastcoastguild.com. What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to the first episode of That's No Moon. It's our new podcast. It's a Star Wars podcast. It's going to be a call-in show, but this is the pilot, so you're just going to learn about us. Sorry. But you can comment, contact us on our socials, which you can see on screen. If you're just an audio listener, it'll be in the show notes. I don't know if there's anything else I'm supposed to say right now, but hi. Hope you guys are doing well.
Hello.
I have with me the wonderful Leah Elizabeth. We have known each other for quite a long while. That's actually the first thing on our list today to talk about is actually our history. Because we've known each other for what we said about, it's somewhere between 12 and 14 years. Cause
yeah, give or take.
We our high school wasn't very big. I moved down there our freshman year. So if we knew each other, we knew of each other. We'd seen each other around very much. But I think our first big interactions would have been Bye Bye Birdie. I was thinking about that yesterday, which would have been junior year.
Was it junior year? Wow,
yeah,
I guess it
that was junior year. And then you were my daughter the following year.
Yes. In Sound of Music.
In Sound of Music. That was God. There is a lot of things about myself in high school that I'm glad I'm not that way anymore. Anywho's.
Same.
Sorry. We do have a live chat, so if you guys are interested, I will be streaming it live on my YouTube until Glimish becomes a thing, which is March 2nd, so be ready for that. I'll make sure you guys have a link to one of those two profiles if you guys would like to subscribe and check this out live. We are currently until marathon season happens because we have to wait until marathon season, guys. Not that I run. I don't know how to run. Just throwing that one out there. It's not me. It's her.
It's me.
So, once marathon season starts, she will have way more time for us, and then we get to be as needy as we want. Okay, so we'll get to have weekly, but until then, we're gonna have, I guess every other week, or is that bi-weekly at that point? Yeah, I think that's bi-weekly. Yeah. Look, it doesn't.
Bi-weekly is confusing because it can mean twice a week or it can mean every week.
That's why I don't. That's gonna be every other Saturday. Right now, we might change the day here or there, change the time that we do it, depending on what's going on. But hopefully we'll get it out for you audio listeners by Sunday or Monday, no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, you guys know a little bit about how we've known each other. If you don't know who I am, and I'm a weird voice, I'm Kill, or Jim. You will hear me be called Jim probably a lot because we've known each other for 14 years. Yeah. So... me having an online persona, a lot of the people that knew me don't really know that. So it's okay. Chat, don't freak out. But I have been a content creator for 6 years, teacher for 6 years. Well, no, wait, I've been a content creator for 6.5 to 7 years, teaching for 6 years, Star Wars fan for 20 years. And I was inspired by Star Wars and Scotch to be like, you know what? I want to have just a Star Wars podcast. Because I run 2 other podcasts. One that is Kingdom Hearts related. One that is just with me and my buddy. We just sit down and talk for an hour. Now, 3 of the 4 episodes have been about Star Wars. But that's not the intent of that podcast. So this one, 100% Star Wars. We will be having call-ins. So if you are part of my Discord... we will also have that link down in the show notes if you guys need it. You guys will be able to jump in to a podcast waiting room chat that we have, and we'll be able to pull you guys in for you guys to ask your own questions that we can then speculate or create theories based off of, which we're really excited about. We've got all that stuff set up, and I'm so excited. Week 2 is going to be great for this. Episode 2, I guess. So... that being said, before we get into our history, how about you give us a little bit history on yourself? Let us know a little bit about you.
So non-Star Wars related, I work in marketing. I also create content, but very different content. I have another podcast. It is not Star Wars related. It is rock history related from a female perspective.
And if you want that will also be in the show notes.
Yes, She will rock you. So I've been doing that with my co-host for about 2 years. And when it comes to Star Wars, I was trying to think, when my first memory of watching Star Wars is, and I don't even know. I feel like I've always had that old three, the original trilogy, 3 VHS companion,
and it was in the in the old black box that had Vader's face on like one side, and yep, my parents had that too.
And the titles were like pastel colors.
Yes. I have to go find that. That was awesome.
I think my Nana still has hers. It's where I watched it at her house, and then the prequels came later, like in middle school, and I don't remember never watching Star Wars, but I feel like in the last 2 years, I've probably gotten really into it since The Mandalorian came back, or came on and started, and it feels like there's Star Wars content everywhere, every day.
Right.
I'm trying to read all of the canon novels. This is like a small portion of them behind me.
Which, that's just already crazy. I just want to throw that one out to you guys. That's already like, oh my God.
I don't make sane decisions, in case you can't tell.
Well, that's true. You do like to run. That is the reading part I can get. The reading part I can understand. It's the running I don't. That part I don't think I'll ever understand.
I'm second guessing my running decisions this year, but I've paid for it. I'm gonna run an ultra marathon. That's my other big hobby, is running. And I'm getting older, and it hurts more.
Yeah. So funny story about hurting yourself as getting older, right? I used to love playing soccer when I was like, before I moved. I didn't play a lot once I moved here. And so I used to play soccer a lot as a kid, and I went to go play soccer, and I like was playing with my students on like a Saturday. Like they saw me playing in the field, and they all came to join. So we were playing soccer, and I almost tore my meniscus. And like I had patella tendonitis and everything, and I was like, it's so bad. It was so bad. So getting old is definitely a real thing. So Star Wars wise, for me, my first memory with Star Wars was, well, I mean, the first one that I remember, I probably watched it before this, but my very first was like, we had like an old, like the TVs that had the VHS on them, right? Like, and of course, by the way, guys, we're both millennials. So you Zoomers that don't know what a VHS is, that's not our fault. Go ask your parents. But we had, so it was like this, it was like a 12-inch screen, like super tiny. Like, I'm pretty sure it's still at my parents' house. And I would like take that and I'd like sneak out and like sit it down on the floor. And while my parents are like 2 rooms over, because it wasn't allowed in my room, so I wouldn't take it into my room. I was that good of a kid. But I wouldn't go to bed on time. So I would go and I would just lay down and I would put Star Wars in. And then I would just watch Star Wars. And the next thing you know, I woke up in my bed in the morning and nobody was mad at me. So I was like, it worked out. So I kept doing it. And I'm pretty sure my parents just were like, our son passed out on the floor again watching this crap. They just take me and move me. Although so it was funny enough, my dad was the Star Wars fan, which actually caught me off guard because my father is not the kind of person that you would think would be into Star Wars. It's also like, just to throw out, my dad's favorite show when I was growing up and we lived in Michigan still was Charmed. That one also threw me off. Yeah, no, but we would sit down and we would watch Charmed every day together. It was wonderful. And looking back, definitely weird. But it's just wonderful to like kind of sit there and like think about those things. I lost my train of thought because a message just got completely redacted in my stream, and I have no idea why.
Thanks, YouTube.
No, it was one of my mods deleted it, or Bryce deleted it himself. But so Star Wars wise, that was there. I remember going to when Phantom Menace came out when we were 6, because that came out in 99. We were 6.
I didn't see the prequels in theaters because no one in my family was really into Star Wars. See, I don't think I knew that they were even coming out.
My mom took me to it because she knew I would like it, and she dragged my sister along. And so I saw the first one when I was 6, 7, and I saw episode 1, loved it, absolutely loved it. Which at some point in time, you and I are gonna have to talk about the Darth Maul, like just Darth Maul. We have to have a whole episode just on him because, like, say what you will, and this is definitely an old man thing at this point in time. I'm willing to accept it, but the most impactful fight in the entire series, the entire series, is definitely Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine.
Yeah.
Last 3 seconds, and it is the most impactful. It literally determined everything that happened after it. Just like the fight between Qui-Gon and Darth Maul determined everything that happened in the prequels.
Yes.
Anyway, we'll have a whole episode on Darth Maul because it's great, and Dathomir is a crazy place. But then, Dathomir is going to be fun to talk about. That place is weird.
It is probably the planet I would least like to live on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Star Universe.
And then let's see. And then so I don't remember seeing Attack of the Clones because I think I repressed that memory because that's actually my least favorite movie.
Yeah, it's okay.
I wasn't, I've heard maybe I'll like it now, but like as a kid I was like, Star Wars isn't romance. Like that was me as like, like a 10-year-old, which is completely fair, but like in the mind of the story, like anyway. But I do remember we had pre-ordered tickets for episode 3 to see it on the day it came out in 8th grade.
That was a big deal back
it was huge. That was 2000 and see, I was in high school. I was in middle school. It came out 7th or 8th grade year. So it would have been 2006, 2007, I believe. Yeah, now we got a fact check, but I'm pretty sure it was 2000. My guess is 2007. That's when I remember.
2005.
2005. Dang. Okay, so it would have been the summer before 8th grade or the summer before 7th grade. Summer before 7th grade, but anyway. I remember having tickets to it like before. Like we saw it day one and oh my God. As a 12-year-old boy seeing that movie, chef's kiss. Oh, the lightsaber fights. Who cares that Hayden Christensen couldn't act worth a damn? Like everything else was just gorgeous. Like
yes. Now it is.
Now it's a little rough.
I think
it's a little rough. I and there's a happy mix of blame on George Lucas and Hayden for that entire problem because, like, I mean, obviously Ewan McGregor didn't need anything. No, he can't. He couldn't write dialogue. In my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Like,
I don't like sand.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and it gets everywhere. Like, Hayden, deliver the lines with some feeling at least.
He's also really, this is off topic, but he's also a really bad director because his only direction he gives is faster, more intense, and he's got to interpret that.
Yeah, and when you're a god the level of Ewan McGregor, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, fine, yeah, no problem. I know what to do. When you're Hayden Christensen, who this is your second your second movie ever, third movie ever, like because I think he was in one movie before episode 2, and then so like when you're that young in your acting career and you haven't done something like Moulin Rouge,
you don't know what that is.
You don't know what that means.
Faster, more intense. It's just talking faster.
That's going. That's not like going from my point of view. The Jedi were like giving that emotion. No, he's just yells flatly.
Yeah,
I loved it. Oh, it was wonderful. But
now we have all the context that Clone Wars.
Oh my God. Oh, Clone Wars as a series. By the way, there's an actual like canonical way to watch that series that's not season 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'm rewatching it right now
because the timeline's super messy in that
order.
thing. Yeah.
And it's weird. The first 3 seasons are like all out of order.
Yep, they are.
But it makes so much more sense. I'm back through season 1.
Oh yeah, I sat there and I was like, wait, I thought her uncle was dead. When Padme's uncle popped back up, I was like, wait, he's dead. Like he died.
The Senate plot is like all out of order, and then meeting of the D Squad is all out of order.
It's something I need to go back and rewatch, but I was just like, oh my gosh.
That's like my background show now that I've seen it through. I'm like, I just need something in the background, but I also want to rewatch it and see what I missed the first time.
So I know for me, so then we get into college and the the 10-year anniversary for Phantom Menace came out. That came out our sophomore or junior year in college. And then I think it was junior year. I think it was 2010 or not 2010.
Yeah.
2000, not 2000. It would have been 2014.
Was pretty soon after.
It was 2013 or 2014 when they redid it. Anyway, it came out. I don't think it was 12. It was 12. I think it was 2000. I don't know. Anyway, the dates don't matter. Welcome to Star Wars. Welcome to That's No Moon, where the dates are made up and they definitely don't matter.
They don't matter. Time's a construct.
Time's just a big blob of, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Yes, exactly.
So then Force Awakens comes out. Amazing. Like, I was like, yeah, it was really something. It was good. I understood why people didn't like it. I do. But it was good for what it was.
Star Wars at that point. Like, I remember buying grapes at the grocery store and they had BB-8 on them. And I was like, this is unnecessary, but I'm living for it.
Yeah, but it was like the same time when Heinz ketchup. Yeah, but it was like the same time when Heinz ketchup came out with green ketchup and was like the Hulk. Like, what? Those are the marketing campaigns I miss from the 90s, by the way. The ones that made you go, is my health going to be okay if I eat this?
This is a lot of food coloring, but I'll live. But they never touched that with the other two sequels, and I'm mad about it because I want more Star Wars food.
I'd be here for more Star Wars food. That'd be wonderful.
They're just normal grapes with characters on them, I don't care.
Last Jedi came out. When I watched Last Jedi, of course, now, go back and rethinking about it and rewatching and all those things. I have different opinions now. But when I watched Last Jedi, I loved it. I thought it was great. It was I have made a tier list, and I went over my tier list in my other podcast, but it was good. It was good for what it was. I think we could have gotten better, but it was good for what we got. Which we will definitely be talking about at some point in time. I'm sure we will go through all of the movies and talk about them.
We should. We'd have
to. Then Rise of Skywalker. The only reason I think I love it is because I have watched enough stuff about the book and I have enough of a common understanding of the lore in canon to understand that there was so much more going on than that movie. Because I think the reason that the reason the sequel trilogy sucked, quote unquote, would have been because they tried to make a TV series fit into a movie.
Yeah, when I saw Rise of Skywalker, in the moment, I was like, oh, this is an awesome conclusion. And then I watched it again the next day, because that's back when MoviePass was a thing.
Yeah.
Or Regal's.
When you could go to the movies. Who does that? God, the kids that this next generation is going to be like, wait, you went to the movies?
What does that
I'm just
mean?
waiting for that. Waiting to have a middle school student come up to my class and be like, "Sir, did you ever go to the movies?" Yep, I did. Those were good days.
They were good days. But I saw it again the second day, and I was like, I don't know. This is missing something. And then the more I thought about it, because I'm a hardcore Raylo, the more I thought about it, the more angry I got, and now I just forget that movie exists.
Yeah. Yep. I understand. I didn't have a problem because I wasn't a Raylo. I didn't really. Finn got done dirty no matter what. Finn just got done dirty.
We were promised Jedi Finn.
Oh my God.
They lied.
That one, you know whose fault that one is? Ryan's, because it didn't get explored at all in Last Jedi. But there was also multiple directors with no linear path. They didn't talk about it. And JJ came back for episode 9 and was like, well, I'll try to piece things back together, but I just lost 2 of my biggest actors, so that's great.
The way that he fixed the Finn thing though made no sense because he had to clarify it in interviews for weeks after. And if he had just explicitly said, I'm force sensitive, we would have avoided a lot of this issues.
It would have. If it literally had just come out and been Luke walking past him during The Last Jedi and been like, interesting, and just walked by, everybody would be like,
Yeah.
like, then it could have been, I don't know. Actually, that might have pissed more people off. Because it's like, oh, he is, oh. But then it would have been like, oh, well, then he would have gotten some more in that. But I thoroughly enjoyed the sequel trilogy for what it was. Action-wise, oh my gosh. Action-wise, it was amazing.
I've never been more stressed out than watching those movies in theaters, I don't think. Like, in a movie. I was just like, the whole time I was like...
Yeah, the emotional roller coaster of 9 alone, I was like... I was so drained afterwards. I was like, oh my God.
There's no break either.
No,
it's just like...
No. And it sucked because I had to go to the bathroom, and it was like, the problem with it was I had my teacher bladder got hit to the point. So that meant I couldn't do anything. I couldn't wait any longer because I had been waiting for so long anyway. And then I was like, no, now I got to run to the bathroom and be there for 3 minutes.
That happened to me because I was stupid and got a coffee because I was like, oh, I have to stay up past 9 o'clock.
That's fair. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here going, man, I'd like to be in bed before midnight. That's not going to happen. But I was good. And then honestly, so I have the book for Rise of Skywalker, and I want to read through it at some point because I know they go through a lot of stuff. Like, my biggest problem was honestly the dagger. Like, the dagger was kind of stupid. And
they never explained it. Like,
no, they just like, oh, this is where it is. It's like, well, why couldn't you have just been like, found something that the guy said that, you know, that they found an old transmission or an old like Sith text from Palpatine that said, put it in my throne room.
Yeah.
Like, that would have, that'd have worked. That'd have worked fine. But no, we had to use this thing that was 100% forged to fit the Death Star after it was broken and laying on one of the parts of Endor.
There's so much just with the editing process of that movie that makes no sense. And the fact that they were still cutting it like 3 weeks before the release.
Well,
and they didn't know how the thing was going to end. Like,
yeah, it was too much. They had too much going on. And it's like, it was funny because they were like in interviews, they were saying like Kathleen Kennedy, which, by the way, I don't think anybody's a Kathleen Kennedy fan. Although she did one good thing. She greenlit Mandalorian.
Yes, and this whole new Star Wars TV Disney Plus universe we're getting.
Which is honestly, it's like, I will say straight up, like, Lord of the Rings is getting an Amazon Prime show. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited. I'm going to watch it. I'm interested in it. I like the world that they have there. I am so friggin' stoked for the fact that Star Wars is becoming a series.
Yeah.
Series. Like, it's moving from a cinematic series because George did a great job with 1 through 6 in making sure that the story was bare bones enough that it made sense and it could be fit into 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
7, 8, 9 couldn't.
He planned a whole trilogy at one time rather than just being like, I'm going to make a movie. I don't know where to go now. This is the other guy's problem.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thanks, JJ. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, JJ. Just back and forth.
Yeah, and the two of them obviously didn't get along either, so that doesn't help things.
Well, and it's like, it's so back and forth because, like, don't get me wrong. As I said this yesterday, Ryan, like, when we had our little pre-meeting, right? Like, Rian Johnson isn't a bad director. He just literally took everything that the Star Wars fans loved and just said, you know what? Nope. Which, again, that's like, I mean, there was a talk between him and Mark Hamill, and Mark Hamill talked about this in an interview. It was like, he was ticked off because he wanted to like say something to C-3PO. Because he's like, Luke would say something to C-3PO. He's like, he would. And Ryan's like, no, walk past him. He's like, no, that's not what Luke would do. Luke would say something to C-3PO. And he's like,
he would.
He's like, fine, take 5 minutes, do whatever you want. And it's like, that's why we had that tiny little scene of him just being like, tap, tap to C-3PO and walking on. It's like, because Ryan didn't care about, like, it's like, he was just using it for the value of saying, well, this character's in it versus using the character as they would be used. That's my problem looking back. The story and how he had it directed and written and everything like that was wonderful if it wasn't a Star Wars story. But as a Star Wars story for the characters like Luke and Leia was very, very difficult to digest after I learned so much more about them.
Yeah, I get that people don't like Ryan's treatment of the legacy characters, but I love his treatment of the new trifecta. And I wish that JJ had kept Ryan's setup of Rey being a nobody. That is like my biggest complaint about Rise of Skywalker.
I was super okay with that. I'm waiting for they're putting a director's cut of 9.
Thank God.
Onto Disney Plus. And it's going to have the original idea of how Rey was so strong in the Force. Because she was originally so what JJ originally was going to do before he had to like scrap and like, you know, pull all these scenes out and said, you know what, forget it. We're just going to make you a Palpatine because it's easier and it's quicker to, which wasn't, I understand.
I get it, but it was stupid.
Yes. And it came down to he didn't have the time to tell the full story, which sucked. Because he was going to make her a Kenobi. He was going to make her the granddaughter of Obi-Wan. Which
I don't like that either.
I mean, I want to see how it plays out. I don't know that I'll like it, but I want to see how it plays out because we also then get some old Ewan McGregor in there to do some Force talking through the Ghost. So I'm just like, I'm okay with that part because I like Ewan McGregor. But
I don't like it.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing though, that I will give props to the team that developed those because straight up, we are so unhappy as a freaking community, like because we're so big. The Star Wars community is so big where I'm like, I would be entertained to see how that plays out. You're like, nope, automatically hate it. Whereas
it's with anything, like the High Republic announcement, I watched the live stream and I had to snooze the chat because it was just so nasty. Like the stream had not even started yet. We knew nothing about the High Republic. And they're like, this is the dumbest fucking thing we've ever seen. This is going to ruin Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy is killing Star Wars. I'm like, we don't even know what's happening, guys.
Guys, we're not even there yet.
Take a second, read the material, and then make a decision before you just go on a rampage.
Yep. And that was my thing. I was like, come on. I was like, I kept watching. I actually had to stop. I told YouTube to stop suggesting people to me because I was like, okay, sweet. I don't want to see all these people because all they are is they've created this toxicity around Star Wars. Like there was one person I was watching and she was like, nobody's excited about the High Republic. I was like, I've seen nothing but hype.
Why is it a New York Times bestseller then?
Why is it a New York Times bestseller? Why is literally everybody on Twitter, at least on my Twitter, which, I mean, now note, I'm not the biggest person in the world, but I'm also sitting there with, 500 followers, and I follow about 800 people. A lot of us are Star Wars fans, and I have not seen one thing negative about it. I scroll through the guys that do Star Wars and Scotch. I scroll through their stuff to read comments. Nobody's being hateful, and they have huge communities, like multiple tens of thousands of people that hang out. And I'm like, what are you talking? And I was like, I couldn't do it. I was like, why do you just want to hate it because you think that's going to be cool?
Yep, I cannot read. It's just the YouTube guys for some reason. It's the YouTube comments, and I just have to not read them. I finally got around to watching the first episode of the High Republic show this week. And
nice.
It has more dislikes than it does likes. All the comments are nasty. And I was like, Lucasfilm just needs to shut off comments when they post one of these videos because it gets them nowhere.
Well, it's like, how does that help anybody? It's like, this is the first time, I will say that's the nice part about the good and the bad about the sequel trilogy is that it actually it's the Skywalker saga, but it has nothing to do with the Skywalkers.
No, not really.
It's really not their part of the saga. It's a different story for different people, which is a good and a bad thing because where we wanted to see a conclusion to their story, and of course they're passing the mantle on to somebody else. that's nice, but like it also means that it can very easily be like in my opinion, Ryan did Luke dirty. And I mean,
and it got messed up from, I think the original plan was that each one was going to be one of the conclusions. So like The Force Awakens was Han's conclusion, Last Jedi was Luke's conclusion, and Rise of Skywalker was supposed to be Leia's conclusion. And then Carrie passed away, and it just was like, what do we do now?
Which was another...
Let's rewrite the whole thing, because we don't have a plan anyway. So
yeah. Which was like another problem with it all too. It's like, it's so wishy-washy in that part. And that's the part that sucks, because the reason it's getting so many dislikes, it's getting so many hateful comments, all of those people are Skywalker saga fanboys. Like, EU, we love the giant 20-book series about post-Empire Luke with Mara Jane and all this stuff that literally George Lucas absolutely hated and didn't really want to attach. But how is he going to stop it? Because the EU was the freaking Wild West.
It was. I have some of the books on the bottom shelf we're looking at, and they had no one controlling them, which I get that Disney can be a very controlling entity, but no one was doing quality control on these things.
Nobody from Lucas was.
Weird. Like, they're just wild.
Well, and it's like, how many of them that like might not have gained as much traction? Like, in the EU time for Star Wars, any fanfic that we wrote, like if you and I made a speculation and then we wrote something down in fanfic, it is now canon.
Which is not the way.
Which is ridiculous. Like it. Now, note, I don't. I'll use Lord of the Rings because I don't want to use the other series I was thinking about, because I don't like the author at all, and I just don't want them to have anything to do with this. But yep, you already know. I think you know where I was.
We know where this is going.
Well, so anyway, Lord of the Rings. It's like it was very Tolkien was very, very like aggressively like, no, this is what's story. This is what's canon. His son was, this is what's canon. You are not messing with my father's legacy. Like, this is like that's why like The Hobbit, like the Tolkien family was pissed. They were so upset about it because they're like, that's not what my father wrote. But the thing is, like, to make that a movie, what, you want to have Bilbo just knocked out for like 2/3 of a movie and just say, okay, guys, sit here in silence, like watching Jeff from Overwatch at Christmas time. Like, it's not, you can't do that. So like, you have to fill in the blanks, because with a movie, it's so much different than reading the book. You know, reading a book, you can read one person's perspective the entire time. But like, I want to know what the dwarves were going through during The Hobbit, and I got that. Now, no, was it the best that they could have done? No, probably not. But I mean, I didn't really care. I was enjoying it. Like, but it's just that idea of like the EU. Like, the only thing from the EU that I've fully ever really like enjoyed reading was Old Republic. Like,
yeah, I've never read the Old Republic. I read the what are they? I'm looking what they are. The Young Jedi Knights series is what I have down here, and they're good. They're not even that. They're nothing special. Like, whatever we end up getting out of The Mandalorian, I think is going to be better than these were, but
probably. I will say, like, I know Revan, awesome. I will have to like give you a rundown on Revan at some point in time, because like, I love Revan. I
have a vague knowledge, but not a lot.
He is like there's so many, everybody's a fanboy of him for the fact that he is who he is, and it's stupid. I will 100% say that it is irrational to love Revan as much as I love him. But I love him. And in all honesty, it comes from the Knights of the Old Republic games. Like, and you read through his lore and you read through everything that happened in his life, and it tells us that everything that we want to know about. Like, we want to know about the Jedi Civil War, where Revan and Darth Malak both fell to the dark side and took half of the stinking order with them. Like, the Mandalorian wars that Revan fought in against the will of the Council. You know, all those things. And then they lead back to somebody that's even bigger and stronger than them, you know, like the Emperor's Eternal, not Palpatine Eternal, the Emperor Eternal. Which was
eternally eternal.
Yeah, he's the Eternal Emperor. Sorry, it's the Emperor Eternal, not the Eternal Emperor. which is thanks Disney. But he had this ability where he basically could transfer his essence from one body to another. And so he literally there's like 5 Sith that found a way to live past death, where that's generally a Jedi only thing. And so like the Old Republic has a lot of those really cool, like the cool mysticism and characters. And it's one of my favorite time periods in the non-canon lore.
I hope that they get there eventually, maybe after High Republic wraps.
That is
in
going
like 5 years.
Kathleen's holding that one in her back pocket because she knows that whenever she pisses everybody off, she'll be like, "Oh, by the way, we have an Old Republic trilogy coming out," and everybody's gonna be like, "Okay, Kathleen, we're giving you another chance. We're in. We're not gonna leave yet," because that's what everybody's wanting. Because it's just that's at least from the gamer's perspective.
Yeah,
those were games
everyone loves those games.
we've loved.
I know everyone loves those games.
Yeah. And like Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 were just so heavily revered. And now note, I've played some of Knights of the Old Republic 1. It is a trash game, guys. It's trash. It is absolute garbage to go back and play Knights of the Old Republic 1. I know many other Star Wars fanboys that would agree with me. The story, godly. The play,
but the play was, it's like what, like really early 2000s.
Oh, it's
right?
2002, I think. It's like 19 years old. But
the graphics are on par with that pod racing game, which is on Switch now. And I downloaded it and I was like, this is going to be great. I remember playing this and I was like, this is bad. Like, even though they
it's like I saw
it for Switch, it's bad.
I saw you. I think I saw you retweet the fighting game, the Star Wars fighting game. I was like, oh, so they remade that game from the early 2000s again too.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's going to be. But that was the only thing out of Nintendo Direct that I was excited about, other than Fall Guys. So
I stopped being excited about Fall Guys when Fall Guys actually released, because I was playing it during early access. I was like, this is not my game. Not mine.
It's my speed of online multiplayer.
Do it up 100%. I completely understand. I have a friend that has more than 100 wins in that game.
Dang.
I am some of my streamer friends, they a little hardcore, and I don't understand why. They pick some things and I'm like, that's your hill. Go ahead, die there. All for you.
Less competition.
Hey, I'll go play something else. It's good. I'll be fine. Oh man.
But yeah, Kathleen has a hard job. I'll give her that.
Yeah.
I think she has outstayed her tenure.
Well,
and should pass the torch.
In honesty, she should pass to Dave and John.
Yes.
George should not have rights back. Sorry.
No, he needs
George needs to be there as a lore consultant. And I heard this. I heard that Star Wars and Scotch used a great thing, and I really liked it. I really liked it when it went to the idea of it's like spaghetti, right? George is the chef, and he's making spaghetti, and the spaghetti and the spaghetti water are all of his ideas. And you don't want the spaghetti water, right? You don't want the spaghetti water in your spaghetti. Those are your bad ideas with your good ideas. Spaghetti good. Spaghetti good, water bad. Awesome. So you don't want, your water with your spaghetti, because then it's going to be soggy and you don't want soggy. So basically John and Dave are the strainer that you pour your spaghetti into to drain all the bad ideas, because Dave will be like, George, that's kind of stupid. And John will definitely put his foot down being like, that's
really stupid.
That's really dumb. Like, but that's the thing that, and they compared it to a guy that was doing WWE. There was a guy doing WWE who was like super, he had great writing when he was part of this one group. He did amazing things, was awesome. But then he basically like moved to a different company to start writing for the WWE stuff, and nobody would tell him no. And everything he produced went downhill. He produced went downhill. And so it's like that's what I'm worried about. If we let George have free reign, it's over. George is going. And then we're going to get Jar Jar Binks again. And we're going to get an angsty teenager and a kid who was probably not the best actor and then ruined his acting career.
I feel so bad. I'm so glad that Hayden's getting a shot at redemption in the Kenobi series, though.
So straight up, my Kenobi speculation. 6 episodes. We've got 6 episodes. Episode 1 is going to be him reliving the fight on Mustafar and leaving. Is going to be Obi-Wan doing that. I think that's the only reason, because there's no reason to bring Hayden back in the Darth Vader costume. Or to retcon that they fought. I
think if they don't go that route, that it might be called Kenobi, but you're seeing parallels with Vader going through that would be really good too.
That would be really, really good.
Obviously, Ben can't sense him, or he's cut himself off. But you see him adjusting to life on Tatooine and watching Luke grow, and you've got
the show is actually Qui-Gon watching over his 2 pupils, and it's called Kenobi.
Yeah. Well,
I would die for that. It's a hidden camera show where Qui-Gon's watching over everyone.
I don't know if you've read this one.
Yes, I have it on my bed. And him talking with Obi-Wan during there. Yes.
He can commune with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
While he's on Tatooine, so it would make sense.
Well, and so that's what I was thinking. I was thinking episode 1 will be Mustafar. Episode 2 will be adjusting to life on Tatooine. And all those things, giving Luke to the estranged family of Anakin. Which
it's
like his step brother. It's like his step brother or something like that, or his half brother or something. It's weird. I was looking into it with Uncle Lars.
Step brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's his step brother.
Then I was 3 and 4 will be becoming one with the living force.
Mm.
And then episode 5 would be the Darth Maul fight and meeting Ezra Bridger.
Oh, Ezra and Kenobi.
I'm thinking, because if they do it with my plan, which this is how I would write the show, that would mean that would fall during the Darth Maul fight that he has on Tatooine, which means that he'd have to see Ezra.
That would make sense.
And then episode 6 will be episode 4. The very beginning of episode 4 up until he dies. Ish.
Does it, or it just ends with him meeting Luke?
It could be, yeah. Or it could be with him going and rescuing Luke, and then that's it. And it that would be the perfect Kenobi series for me. Those 6 episodes would be gorgeous, because I'm thinking through in my head. It's what can you do for 6 hours on Tatooine that's not boil and die?
Not much, if his rapid aging is an indication.
God. And then they were like, well, Hayden Christensen's coming back. I'm and I heard some other things. People were look, him coming back to Kenobi is really dumb if he's just going to be in a Darth Vader costume. Which is fair, because then anybody can be Darth Vader at that point. You just need poor James Earl Jones in his, late 90s making these wonderful voices. God, that is going to be such a sad day when that man passes.
When he passes and when John Williams passes, when I realized that John was able to score all 9 films, it made me so happy, because once The Force Awakens came out, I was like, please let this man make it to episode 9. Please,
he has done so much.
Although, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but the Mandalorian guy who's been scoring.
So good.
He can fill his shoes.
God, I loved it.
And the wall of sound behind him.
So good.
I can't think of his name.
I could look it up, but that sounds like typing.
Ludwig Göransson.
There it is.
Boom. Ludwig, yeah.
He did an amazing job. It's so good. He's so good.
Star Wars scores are in good hands.
Oh yeah. No, I think if done right, it's good. In all honesty, if we keep Kathleen away from it and we just let her be an executive where she's good at being an executive, I'm fine with that, because George chose her for a reason.
Yes.
So and she was there from the start. She was there from episode 4. She was there. I get it. She's been a part of Lucasfilm. I have no problem with her being the successor as long as like we understand that she needs to stop making movie decisions, and that's okay. You know, just greenlight the projects that look awesome.
She learned her lesson.
She did, and then John and Dave were like, "Yo, Mandalorian, people love Beskar, people love that stuff."
They're gonna lose their minds over a puppet. It's gonna be great.
And then there's gonna be major strife when we bring back Boba Fett, because everybody that's gonna fanboy over him is gonna be like, "Oh, we loved him from the EU," but when you look in the canon universe, he was a punk.
I love Mandalorian Boba Fett. I'm here for it. I'm here
for it.
How they?
My problem is like, how did I understand how he could have lived from the Sarlacc, because in all honesty, whatever. Like, I just want to know why he didn't kill Cobb Vanth. Why didn't he kill Cobb Vanth? Like, you want your armor back? You wait until another Mandalorian goes and gets it. Like, no, you're Boba Fett. Go kill the dude and get it.
He's got other
and you could have. You could have killed the dude and gotten it. Like, good lordy.
That was the best scene from this season of Mandalorian.
It was so good. Other than that, he was a glorified taxi man, which was sad. But Book of Boba is going to be good. So he'll hopefully not be a glorified taxi in that one.
Yes. We hope. We assume.
We hope. I mean, it's called Book of Boba. It's just about Fennec. That's it. It's about Fennec.
I would also be okay with that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That was the other thing. People were like, how did he learn droid surgery? Like, how did he learn to just save Fennec like that? Like, what?
There's so many. It
was just
for like 2 or 3 years or however long. 3 years? About 3 years?
Well, Fennec, no, because it was only a year from when she got shot in the blaster from season 1. Or
since Boba got thrown in the pit.
Oh, Boba got thrown in the pit 5 years.
Okay.
It's been 5 years that he's been sitting. It's been 5 years that he's been sitting on Tatooine. Didn't take Slave One anywhere. Didn't kill Cobb Vanth and get his armor back. Learned droid surgery. And also learned how to have a proper fight with people.
Yeah, I feel like maybe he didn't know where his armor was, because it sounds like Cobb Vanth had just recently acquired it from the Jawas.
Well, I don't know what the timeline is between Aftermath and Mandalorian, but in Aftermath, Cobb Vanth gets the armor. They retconned it a little bit to make it more entertaining of a story versus I found it.
Yeah.
Like, and so it was better, but I don't know how many, because he's had it for at least a year or two. Because it was when the Raiders started coming by, and then the Raiders have stopped because he had the armor. So I was under the impression that he'd had it for at least 6 months to a year, if not more. But I don't know.
It's still pretty new on a planet made of sand.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What you doing out there, Boba Fett? Learning to fight, learning to turn people into droids.
You know, the usual.
As you do as a foundling that wasn't originally a foundling.
But he is now.
Yeah, that they retconned like episode 2.
Yeah.
They retconned episode 2. Which, don't get me wrong, I don't mind. But like, they straight up was like, oh yeah, he didn't kill a Mandalorian, he was a foundling. What? Also, when did his armor become Beskar? Because it was Durasteel back in the Clone Wars.
Maybe he's lying. That's always a good, like, easy scapegoat. You're just like, he's lying.
He's just lying. And he just didn't tell the truth. That's all. Who tells the truth nowadays? What? It's normal, right? Oh man.
Funny how that works.
Plot. That's how he did it. Plot.
Yes.
It's my favorite reason in lore is the plot. Oh man. All right. Well, we're getting towards him. We're about 50 minutes in. So if you guys have stuck around this long, first off, you're amazing. And we love you. And you guys should subscribe to the YouTube. And when I finally get all the links for where this gets posted out, we're going to find a great way to share it with you guys so it can get out to you all. Also, follow us on all of our platforms. If you want to see more podcasts like this, I don't have the YouTube channel on the top of my head. It'll be in the show notes. Actually, it'll be on the YouTube channel. It'll be on the show notes for the podcast audio-wise. But East Coast Guild, which is my business, actually hosts the podcast on their website. So you can check that out at eastcoastguild.com once it gets up. And then also it'll be on their YouTube. My YouTube, I guess it's also mine. But there is the business. As well as a couple other stuff. We have a couple other podcasts that are there. Also, the plans for this show, because I also wanted to talk about that before we ran off, because we've been having such a wonderful time of just rambling back and forth, and it's been wonderful, and I love every second of it.
It won't always just be unstructured rambling.
Oh, I mean, but if you guys like it, then who cares? We'll go for it. But our plans for the show are to have a couple of things in our back pocket to talk about, but we also want to, so we might have something that we talk about, right? Like we might say, I'm not saying that this is the next podcast, but we might be like, oh, we're going to talk about Darth Maul. So we'll have stuff to talk about Darth Maul and what we want to talk about. Then we'll get to a point in time in the show, if we have no news, because maybe we'll toss out some news. We were talking about that today, maybe talking like some bullet news and stuff like that we want to let you guys know about and stuff that we're excited about going on. And there's also things I need to learn about so I can speculate as well on, because I don't read fast, guys. I don't read fast. But
okay, there's stuff that I don't know as well, so
it'll work out. It's a learning experience for both of us, which is great. But we'll get to a point in the show where we'll have you guys to jump into my Discord or my Guilded whenever we switch around, whatever we end up doing. I'll get that figured out. Right now it'll be Discord. We'll have you guys jump into the Discord, into the podcast waiting room, and we'll drag you guys in and we'll let you guys ask questions. We'll introduce who it is by saying their name. And then you guys can ask us your question and then we'll speculate on it. You know, maybe you got a question about Darth Maul that you want us to talk about, and we'll answer it to the best of our ability. So that's the plan for the show. Is honestly, theory crafting and speculation is 95% of what we want to do. Like that was when I approached Leah with it. I was like, this is my plan. And she was like, bet. And here we are. So really excited to share That's No Moon with you guys. I don't have too much more to talk about unless you want to go into another, like, we got maybe 10 to 20 minutes that we could rant if we want to use that time. Otherwise, we can end a little bit early, around an hour.
Unless we had a news item that we want to talk about.
Oh, we do have a couple news items that we should throw out that we saw today. Guys, you're gonna stop seeing Leah's wonderful face for a couple seconds because I gotta go back and like look. So two things, which I'm copying links for. One of them was we have a rumored idea for Ezra,
which I really like.
As I'm okay with. Don't get me wrong, I'm okay with it. There was another guy that's the guys from Star Wars and Scotch were really excited about, because there was one that they've been going back and forth, and it wasn't this guy, but there's one that they go back and forth with on Twitter, like, oh, is he going to be Ezra? Oh, is he going to be Ezra? Oh, is he going to be Ezra? And like, he's like, I don't know. I mean, I could be Ezra. I don't mind. Disney hit me up, you know? So there is somebody who like apparently is very fitting, but I'm not going to lie. Star Wars, this is from comicbooktv.com. Take it with a grain of salt, because there's a couple like Comic Book TV that I'm not, they're definitely rumor mills sometimes.
But they also rumored Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, so
yeah, they have their good moments, they have their bad. It's like using one of the film ones that can't remember the name off the top of my head. Oh, Screen Rant. Screen Rant also has its good and its bad. So take it with a grain of salt. Again, we're just here for the speculation, right? So it's rumored to cast Aladdin's Mena Masood. I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry because I probably butchered it. But they said that he might be Ezra Bridger for the Ahsoka series, which is super exciting. I read through the interview very quickly, so I got a little bit of it. I'm going to let Leah talk to you guys about it, though, because I'm sure she actually read it a lot better than I did and actually got through more of it. I kind of read it when I was waking up this morning because it's what I woke up to.
Yeah, it's also what I woke up to, so I did not read much of it, but let me pull it up again and skim.
Yeah, because it's a big thing that he was pretty excited for it.
I read it, so
yeah.
I will say we were talking about this earlier. Zach and I were about Aladdin, which we watched, and Aladdin, when it came out, got a bad rep. But we went in with very low expectations. I really liked it. And he made a great live action Aladdin. He's got that like mischievous Aladdin personality that shines through. But so it's a very similar character to Ezra. I mean, Ezra is basically Lothal Aladdin. So
yeah, he's Lothal Jedi Aladdin. That
they fit.
I never thought. Oh
Yeah.
Oh no!
Like,
I never thought of that. Oh my god!
We literally like meet him stealing food.
You broke me.
This
today.
is why I like him as a choice, because he's pretty much all my computers.
Gosh! What? Oh my! Okay, yeah. Well, that happened today, guys.
The podcast I listened to, whenever they mention Ezra, they call him Loth Rat, Street Rat.
Yeah. I just never caught that. By the way, Rebels was amazing. If you guys didn't watch Rebels, I understand the first.
But Taylor Gray hopes to.
Oh. Taylor Gray said a bunch of nice things about it, and he was like, he hopes that it's a fitting character. I don't know what's happening to your computer either. He said that whatever happens, he hopes that people enjoy the new direction that they go in. That was a big thing too.
I think the article broke my computer, so I'm back now.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit of desync going on real quick. I don't know why.
Did not like it.
Yeah. Okay. It looks like you're back-ish.
I won't open any more tabs.
You're back! Yay! It's fully back. Well, you know, if you want to contact East Coast Guild, we can help you get out setting up with a brand new computer and all that stuff. Sorry, self-plug. Anywho,
like I said, Zach's also playing Call of Duty while I'm doing this.
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm
very true. So really excited. I did say what you were referencing in there when stuff was going all freaky. He's super excited to see how it goes. Because Rebels is just, if you haven't watched Rebels, go watch Rebels. Look, I don't care if you say it's a kid show or not. It is so good. It brought a grown man to tears. Okay. And if you haven't seen it and you don't know, trust me, that series hit me hard on multiple parts. Now, I'm not saying that I went in
blind, and I'm very glad I went in blind.
Same.
Because I mean, it was long past its prime when I watched it last year. So, no one was really talking about it.
I watched it last year, too. I watched it because of the guys on Star Wars and Scotch. I'm going to reference them a lot, by the way, just because I love that podcast so much.
I watched it because Return of the Pod, formerly known as Job of the Pod.
There you go.
Was doing that. It was between seasons of The Mandalorian, so.
And maybe you guys will watch it because of That's No Moon.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Inspiring more people to watch Rebels.
Exactly.
The first season is really slow. I was like, why do people like this show? I'm bored.
The first half of the first season, once Ezra kind of got over himself, I was like, oh, I'm here for it. But he kind of had to get over himself. So that was some big news. Also, another rumor that came out a couple days ago, Jon Favreau has apparently said that he doesn't want to do Rangers anymore. Rangers of the New Republic. He wants to completely trash it and start something new because of the whole debacle that went on with Gina. I forgot her last name. Carano. So because of all that stuff, I don't
believe this one as much. Actually, because nothing, no legitimate news source is reporting it.
No.
But I can't see him leaving over that, and specifically leaving over her comments, because as far as everyone knows, last anyone heard, Jon Favreau is Jewish. So I don't think he's leaving because of her comments.
The only reason I could see him wanting to drop that entire series is if they had to pull a roadie, and he was really didn't want to have to find a new actress to play Cara Dune for that. That's the only reason I could see him doing it. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm still looking to Fallout New Vegas in space.
Yep. I don't think she needs to be in the show.
No.
I feel like we're so early they could very easily write her out and replace her with some other random
and
female Marshall.
It is it's disappointing with what happened. And we were talking about this a little bit before we started the podcast and a little bit of our pre-show. But like as a teacher, so here's another little tidbit about me, right? I'm a public school teacher. I did have to I had to sign a contract to accept in my job that what I say, I am liable for what I say outside of my job and in my job too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I cuss a kid out, I'm responsible for that.
Mm-hmm.
If I cuss outside of that, I'm responsible for that, and I have to answer to my actions. So if she was under the same rule, and apparently, again, from what I had heard, other sources had said she had gotten reprimanded before. My guess is Disney did basically a 3-strike policy.
And she was on strike 5 or 6 at this point.
Which doesn't, that's the way it goes. And I know people are like comparing it to Pedro Pascal, and it's like, well, where I understand, he had to delete his tweets too. So he deleted the posts, and my guess is that he has a little bit more. Plus, knowing that both they are on opposite sides of the pole, on opposite sides. I'm not gonna lie, guys. It's kind of whether you agree or not, which I wouldn't agree because Disney doesn't do great business decisions all the time. They are going to lean with the thing that seems more humanitarian. Mm-hmm. So no matter how you fall on the political spectrum, I don't really care. That's not what this is about. They're going to go with what they see as the path of least resistance for them. And getting rid of her was, in their eyes, least resistance.
Yeah, you're going to piss off. It's Kathleen Kennedy had a hard decision. You're going to piss off people either way. Mm-hmm. Yes, people are boycotting and canceling their Disney Plus because they fired her. But if they kept her, I think just as many people would have done the same thing. So
yeah, and I mean, I didn't even know about it until it was like a big thing on Twitter because I don't follow her on Instagram because I don't care. Like I follow Pedro, but that's it.
I unfollowed her back in December when she started posting some dumb election stuff. And I was like, this is not going to end well. Unfollow. And so this is where we get.
That's the thing. Like if when you create a following, like what, like, right. Like if we're going to get into the nitty gritty of creating a following, right. Been working on it for 6 years for myself with content creation. Leah does it for the businesses she works for. She also works on creating a following for them. And so it's a big thing of when you create a following, what you post, you end up creating and pulling people that are like-minded. You really do. And so there's one thing where like it'll affect your numbers too, because sometimes people, especially in this country, have had problems doing those things. And so that's the other thing too. And Panda, you make a great point. Word of mouth is also makes it trouble. It makes it harder because word of mouth can be a pain in the butt when you're bringing things up because you don't have all the details too. So we don't know what happened behind closed doors.
Now too. It's just it's been told. Oh, she just made one tweet, and that's what caused it. And I'm like,
and it wasn't even a tweet.
For 6 months.
It wasn't, and I was like, it wasn't even a tweet. Like I never even saw the tweet, and I heard it was on Instagram. Like it was a mess, and I feel like Disney went for damage control. And again, when you're making a business, it's one of those things of what can give you the least amount of problems. And it's a calculated risk no matter what. So people are going to be ticked no matter what happened. So, and when you have that, again, when you have that pattern of behavior and your job says you got to be careful about what you post, it sucks.
Then you got to be careful. Yeah. And when you work for that big of a company that has that strict of an image, like, what do you expect?
One business to not ever please piss off. Disney.
The craziest thing to come out of this whole thing is that apparently the Cara Dune Black Series figures are selling for like $500 on eBay now. Oh God.
Hey, look, it's like, guys, hold your stonks to the moon.
Yes.
To the moon. So but it's a huge thing. But yeah, it's not even like it's for me. I'll even say I don't know what was right or wrong to do in that situation. It's just if you have a contract and that's what your contract says is we can basically fire you for saying what you want to say. that sucks. And it's a tough position to be in because it's what I've had to deal with since I started teaching. So, and content creating. Like that's why Panda has a special hashtag for me. So
they're the empire at this point.
Look, they've been the empire for a while. We were aware of that. Going in. Again, when we saw Disney buying, well, that's no moon. Oh, hey guys, he said the podcast. Make sure all the. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So, all right. Well, I think that's a great place to end it off. Again, make sure you guys go check out our socials. We have them on the video. They'll be in the show notes. Make sure you guys do all the things. Share this out. If you guys have Star Wars fans, let them know. Be ready. I'm also going to be using my TikTok as a spot since I have enough following to have the question and answers. You guys can ask questions there and we'll also answer them. I might answer them on TikToks, but I'll also bring them to our podcast as well and share them with Leah. So that all being said, I hope you guys have a great day. Wherever you're listening to this, stay good. May the Force be with you. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.